dumb kid, go to bed. This is X-Men the Animated Series Retro Recap. I'm Jared, along with Darren, John, and Matt. We're going to be looking at Slave Island. Darren, kick us off.
Alrighty. It was upside down, sorry. So Jubilee, Storm, and Gambit decide to go off to some random island, even though Charles is like, even though he's like, you shouldn't go, but I'm not coming. That was kind of random. He never went there. So here's what happens to them. So Gambit has to go into like spy mode, becoming a raging Cajun that he is. Uh, Everybody thinks he's betrayed them, and even though we as viewers watching it, even as kids, we knew Gambit would never betray them. So we knew Gambit was playing them. Anyway, so razzle dazzle, Gambit busts him out. Boom, done. Jubilee, Storm, and Gambit and them, and some other X-Men show up probably at some point. Yeah, we're good. That's what happened. That's my summary.
All right, that sounds great, man. I'm looking forward to what your most valuable experience of this episode was, too, Darren.
Storm's claustrophobia. Because again, she gets put in a box and she's scared. Was that the second time? Was that the second time? Yeah. Wow. They really built up on that in the animated series. That was like really only Storm's weakness. Kind of crazy. So that's my favorite part. Seeing that part again. All right, go ahead. Who's next?
My favorite part of this episode was all of the cameos that we got to see, all of the other mutants that were locked up together with them on Slave Island in the Genosha. So I had read some of these comics, and it was cool to see Domino and Feral, the Blob, and Mystique. I think this was the first time we saw them in the series, but they'd come back to play later. So that was my favorite part, just seeing all those guys in their full costumes and stuff. In the comics, any mutants were given like these other different suits on Genosha, but we got to see everybody keep their costumes for the cartoon, so you got to know exactly who's who. Sunfire, I think, was in there. A few others.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that.
It was almost like just it was it was just like an all-star background power play. Just all the characters that you remember, and they just keep popping up and one after another, and you go, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one, and it just kept being fun pointing them out and following up on them. I totally forgot about Master Mold. So Master Mold showing up was a total mind blown for me. I totally forgot about that. And then even the simpler one, it's going to sound cheesy, not having watched it in a while, but I just forgot really the comic drawing of Cable. I just forgot what he looked like, forgot how neat he was, and just forgot how cool his firearm was. So
yeah, Cable was sweet.
Nice.
Very sweet. For me, there was a fight sequence. If you've seen any of these previous episodes, you know I love a good fight. I just want superheroes fighting for 22 minutes. I don't need any of the feeling stuff. But there's a particular spot after Gambit sets Jubilee and Storm free. They run off into the woods, they hatch their plan, and then you see the clouds close and the lightning come down. And the way that they presented it, the lightning hits the villains, and you see it, Storm's reflection in the mechanical engineer or whatever in his eyes. And then they do a 360 of the fight scene, and then it all breaks loose. And all the mutants and all the cameos now have powers. And as a 9-year-old boy seeing this, like, wait, who's that? What's that person's power? Who is this? What? I mean, you're still trying to get a hold of who these X-Men are. And now there's basically all the mutants have doubled in size. So you've got a sweet fight scene, and all those cameos that John was talking about now have mutant powers. Blown away. Just love that part so much. You take the good, you take the bad. So there's some bad too. Most excruciating experience, Darren.
Yeah. So Jubilee. Basically because this is I like this episode a lot, but the one that and I don't. Jubilee's an easy target. I only do if I have to, and I didn't have much nitpick on this one, so I'm going to go with Jubilee. When she says something like "Gambit" or something like this, I don't know the exact quote, but you guys will get it. Gambit, I had no idea you were playing them or really on our side or something like that. Why didn't you tell us? I mean, are they? I wonder what the one in X-Men '97 is going to be like.
I feel like they lost out by not casting you as the voice of Jubilee. That was so good. It was so good,
Oh,
Darren.
thanks, man.
Wait,
That's
that you
actually
didn't just
pretty
play
good.
audio right now? That was Darren? Are you guys
That
kidding
was
me?
Who
me,
knew
man.
Darren's inner jubilee was so powerful?
I got some Roman candles in there, and black cats, and yeah, sparklers.
How about you, John?
Well, Darren's going to be mad and he might scream at me like Jubilee would. But my most excruciating, even though I love him, and that's why I didn't like this particular portrayal, was Gambit, because this was to be a Gambit episode. And like we said in the introduction, like Darren explained, we all knew he wasn't really going to be bad, but they played him as bad. And he didn't have an ace up his sleeve like he should have. If Cable didn't show up, he didn't have a plan to break everybody out. He didn't know what was going to happen. He was just like, no, guys, let's not. Let's not. They got us. Let's not. No, let's not. What? But I mean, if he had a plan, then I would have been cool. Oh, okay. He knew what he was doing the whole time. He didn't know what he was doing the whole time. He just got lucky when Cable was blowing stuff up in the woods. So to me, that was excruciating. I wish Gambit was a little bit cooler because I always pictured him a little bit cooler. I always thought he was super cool as a kid. And watching it as an adult, it's like, this guy, I don't know if he would have just, went along with it the whole time if that didn't happen. I don't know.
I know this is being a little bit nitpicky, but it just them continuously getting captured for some reason just was a little bit annoying to me and a little bit repetitive. And then the art was a little harsh, I felt like, compared to some of the other episodes. So, it was a little bit of a struggle for me on Slave Island.
It's a struggle on Slave Island. That could be a t-shirt. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the new dating show.
Well, the most excruciating experience for me was, why are they following Jubilee? She's a 13-year-old kid. They met the day before, and now they're like, we'll follow you into battle. That was just terrible. Like, Sunfire, you deserve to be captured again because you followed her. And I know I don't have the hate for Jubilee that Darren has. I don't care
I don't
for
hate her.
I don't care for her, but it really just kind of made all those mutants look like idiots. And Mystique would have been running that show, not following Jubilee. So that was a little excruciating.
Yeah.
But let's get a summary. Let's find out, how many X's did you award this episode?
I'll go 7. I give it 7 X's. I liked it, but it's not close. I mean, it was okay. I'll give it a 7. It was better than a 5 or around there. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I'm torn as we talk about it. Even your last point, Jared, I felt like on this rewatch, maybe it gives both of our excruciating a little bit of a lift because Gambit was gone at that point. So I kind of thought he talked them into just follow the girl. She knows what she's doing at this point, because you're right. They absolutely would not have followed Jubilee and he was gone. So maybe he did have more of a plan, even though, again, unless he knows Cable, the wild man of Borneo, I don't know how that's going to. So I'm going to up my original grade that I wrote down here, and I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give 8 X's because I do remember this. This one stands out as a kid. I remember all the cameos, like I said. So exciting to see these guys on the screen for the first time. And a lot of them, this was a couple of them we didn't really see much of after this, some of the X-Force characters. So that was super cool. So I'll give it 8.
The cameos were wonderful. If it wasn't for the cameos and the ending, I'm going to go 3 out of 10. But the ending, yeah, 3 out of 10. It was a struggle.
Rookie.
Yeah, that hurt, man. I was like, man, I almost need to turn this off.
Right,
I just want to, it was brutal. But then at the end, with the school being destroyed, I was like, okay, cliffhanger, I'm in here. I'm going 7 out of 10. At the end, I snapped out of it and said, this cliffhanger has me ready for the next episode. Without that cliffhanger, that VHS tape, it's getting tossed.
Oh, all right. Darren, John, and I are recovering from our mini heart attacks we just had. All right.
Kind of shocked me a little bit. I thought I was bad for giving it 7. He gives it a 3.
So you gave it a 7, Matt.
Sorry,
John gave it an 8. So there's 15. Darren gave it a 7. So that's 22. And I'm going to give it an 8 for an even 30. 30 X's. I try and rate mine on rewatchability. I can definitely rewatch this. And I did. When I rewatched this episode, I caught a couple things that I hadn't noticed before. One of the Genoshan magistrates had blonde hair. And if you read the original comic, Extinction Agenda, the blonde is actually Havoc. It's Alex Summers. So was that a cameo of Alex Summers, knowing that they only had one season in the bag? They weren't renewed for 2, or was it not? In my mind, it was. Cameron Hodge showed up, and he turned out to be a huge villain for the X-Men. So it was good rewatchability. I'll give it 8 X's for a total of 30 X's for this episode. So, till next time, make yours the M6P.